Hey guys, thanks for tuning back in. Today I think I'm going to tackle motivations and realizations, right? So this has been something I've been kicking around my head for the last couple days because, I don't know about you, but I got one of these minds that when I set my mind to do something, I'm not necessarily really understanding or processing at a mental level everything that kind of goes into that as I, put forth the action to start it, right? So, and I might not be the only person, but that's true. It takes my mind a little bit of time to catch up with what I'm doing. In this case, it took about 5 weeks, right? So, anyway, basically, when I started this journey, I thought I understood why I started the journey. The motivations behind it. And I thought I had ideas in my head that might come to fruition. But over the last few weeks, I'm starting to realize that maybe I didn't really know why I started the journey. Not that it really matters, because now, even though it's starting to solidify a little bit for me now, it doesn't really change the actions I need to do to start the journey. And I'm starting to have some realizations, and one hit me pretty hard the other day, and that's kind of what spurred me to kind of make this video. So anyway, from a motivation standpoint, a lot of people are going to tell you, and you hear it all the time when you talk to people who are on this kind of weight loss journey or lost a bunch of weight, like what made you do it? What was that all about? And a lot of people say, well, I wanted to be healthier, I wanted to feel better, and all that kind of stuff. And that was decidedly not a motivation for me. In fact, that was, I wouldn't even put it on the list. It was nowhere, right? So I don't want to sit here and say, hey, I started the journey because I wanted to be healthy. This has almost nothing to do with health, or feeling better for that matter. Which is odd, right? But I want to be completely honest here. The health benefits are ancillary for me. So losing weight naturally will bring your blood pressure down, probably lower your bad cholesterol levels and things like that. And that's awesome, right? I mean, that's great. But that's not why I did it. That's not why I said, hey, stop putting the food that you love in your mouth, right? That has nothing to do with it. And it's easy to point to a few real easy things that are for sure top reasons why I did it. And one of those things is, I was tired of shopping at the big and tall shop. I'm still tired of it, right? I'm tired of having to go to one place and I can't go anywhere else because nobody sells simply gigantic clothing. You go in there and you can find any clothing you need. But you can't go to like a JCPenney or a Belk or some other mainline store and get tarp sized clothes. You just can't. They don't carry tarp sized clothes there. They have like maybe a 2XL maximum. They got like 3 of those. And, damn, I fucked that up. They got 3 of those in the entire store, like 3 XX, and then everything else is XL, large, medium, small. You try to, oh my God, one of my favorite things to do is walk into Abercrombie, right? I love to be in a mall and walk into Abercrombie, but I try to keep a straight face because that shit is fucking hilarious. I love to walk into an Abercrombie. You can just see the people work there. When they see you and you make eye contact, they're like, oh, fuck, because they know they're going to have to go over there and be like, hey, you're way too fucking big to be in this store, right? But I like to do it because I like to piss those guys off and make them uncomfortable, right? And there's easy things like that. Like I want to be able to fly more comfortably, right? I don't want I don't want to be walking down that aisle on the plane and people going, oh, Jesus, please don't let him sit next to me. Because, listen, I know it's no picnic for you and it's no picnic for me either. I promise you. I want to be able to go on rides and shit and not have to worry about the dude coming by and trying to push the bar down and going, sir, you're too fat to be on this roller coaster. Can you please leave? And, shit like that. Those are easy things, and those are definitely the motivations, right? And those are probably what I would tell you were the primary motivations to kick it off. But that's not the only motivations, right? And I'm starting to realize that as time goes on. One of them that I just figured out was I want to be happy with my body. It's not just about fitting clothes. It's not just about living a more comfortable life. I want to be happy with my body. I want to be able to like not walk by the mirror and be like, bro, what the fuck happened, right? I want to be happy with it. And that brought me to a realization. So when I started this kind of thing, I think this is pretty natural. I used to be in shape, right? And I'm gonna put up my picture when I was in shape. Now you guys are gonna be like, well, there's probably a bulking phase, a little bit of fat. There's a little bit of fat on that body, whatever, man. That's some good ass shape right there. I'd love to be able to get in that shape, right? And that's kind of the image I'm holding in my head when I think of, man, that's what I want my body to look at like when I'm done, right? When I'm done losing the weight and I'm maintaining, I'd love my body to look like that. And the realization set in over the last couple of days that's not going to happen. It's not even possible, right? And it's not possible, not because of the ways you're thinking, right? I'm not thinking I can't get down there. I'm not thinking I can't even get that buff again. I can build muscle again. I can do those types of things, and I can have that kind of muscle mass and be in that kind of physical shape again, right? I'm not saying that, right? What I'm saying is I can't look like that again. It's not possible, right? So I'll walk you through it. You got 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds to lose, right? You're probably good, right? You're going to lose that weight, and you're probably going to have a minimum of excess skin, right? But when you start talking about somebody who has to lose 100 pounds, or in my case, 200 pounds plus, there's no escape from excess skin. It's not going to happen. You can't do it, right? I could work out all I wanted, right? Hell, I could probably pack on the muscle mass of Mr. Olympia, right? And I'm not going to avoid excess skin. It's just not going to happen. So, that means that I'm not going to be able to hit that shape I want, right? Because no matter what I do and no matter how much muscle mass I build, I'm always going to have a sagging stomach, or I'm always going to have a little bit of flab on the arms or on the pectoral, right? Or in layman's terms, the man titties. It's not going to, it doesn't just go away, right? Because you lost that weight. And part of me realized that intellectually as I started this, right? Well, I'm certainly going to have excess skin. Of course I am, right? But, I was always kind of looking at it like, well, I'll just go get weight loss surgery, right? But as you look at the people that had weight loss surgery, you start to realize a couple things. And a lot of people are going to think, right off the bat, it's expensive. You know what, man? That's not even a concern. The expense is not the problem with weight loss surgery, right? That is a problem, but it is not the main problem with weight loss surgery. The issue is the aftermath of weight loss surgery. That shit is an incredibly complex surgery. I mean, you're talking about people who have to lose, who get an excess of 15 pounds removed or something like that, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not. That shit takes 8 hours, sometimes 12 hours of being in surgery, right? That's dangerous, right? Not just is it dangerous, but after they do that kind of thing, right, you have the aftermath to deal with, right? The drains that drain all the excess body fluid and the blood and everything from your body as it's recuperating from that massive ordeal, right? The scarring, the inability to move around for several days to weeks at a time. That invalid process while you're trying to recuperate, and you have to rely on other people, which, by the way, I don't have up here, right? I don't have a spouse. I don't have kids. I don't have family members up here. I don't even really have a lot of friends up here. And certainly no one that I would impose upon to take care of me like I was 3 years old, right? So it's one of those situations where I started to realize that as I lose the weight, right, even if I get that muscle mass back and can be in that kind of physical condition, I'm not going to look like that. I'm not. I never am. I'm never again going to look like that. And even if I were to find a way to do the weight loss surgery and get somebody that could help me out through it and all of that, and go through that much pain and that much stress and that much everything associated with it, which, by the way, is not something I really want to do. It looks like hell. But even if I were to do all that, right, and I didn't have the excess skin anymore, it would be replaced by scars, right? They never go away. They fade a little bit, but they never go away, right? And the idea that I would, because of that, I'm never going to be extremely happy or even moderately happy with my body. I'm just not. I'm not going to be. I'm not the type of person who can accept reality. I'm just not. That's the reality of the situation, and I will never be able to accept it. Mentally, it's not going to happen. So I will never be happy with my body ever again. And that's just the reality behind it. When I look in the mirror, I'm either going to see excess skin that I don't like, or I'm going to see scars that I don't like. And there is no other avenue for me. That's it. Which means that since I can't get past that mentally, I'll never take my shirt off in public again. I'll never be comfortable around the opposite sex again, right? Because if, I started to date somebody and it got to a point where there was going to be some romance involved, I would never be comfortable enough to take off my shirt or get naked, right? Because, listen, nobody is signing up to climb into bed with a bag of loose skin, right? And nobody's signing up to get into bed with Frankenstein that looks like they've been pieced together, right? And, admittedly, nobody's signing up to get into bed with a 412-pound man either, right? So, all that goes away. That's never going to happen again, right? These are realizations I have to come to. That's, romance and all that shit's never going to happen again because I'm never going to get over the bad body image that I'm going to have, which means I'm never going to actively pursue that, right? It's just not going to happen. I'm not that type of person, and I cannot accept reality, and I won't accept that reality. It's just the way it is, for better or worse, for me. But those realizations come, man, and they come later. It's only after you've been in the process you start to contemplate the reality of what's happening. Are you forced with those realizations that you just have to accept? Those are things I have to accept. That doesn't mean it's going to derail me, right? That doesn't mean I'm not going to lose the weight, because all the other benefits I was trying to tell you about are still things I seek, right? I still want to be comfortable in my clothes. I still want to be able to fit in airline seats. I still want to be able to go on rides. I still want to be able to shop at mainline stores. I still want to be able to go to theaters and movies and not have to worry about where I sit or inconveniencing other people or things like that. Dude, one of my favorite things in the world is going to be the day I can walk into a restaurant and be able to tell the waitress, wherever, man, it's all good, booth or table. Right now I have to walk in and say table, please, no booth, because I'm fucking huge, man. And those things are what motivate me and keep me moving forward, right? Even though I know that the one thing I really wanted, which was to be happy with my body, is not going to happen, right? It's not, right? And there's no way to sugarcoat that. And it's no matter what people say. Like, you can comment, you can say, oh, your mind might change. It's not going to. It never has, right? I'll be 37 years old in a couple weeks, right? And in the 37 years I've been alive, I've never compromised, ever, on anything when it comes to mental reality or the acceptance of actual reality. Never. It doesn't happen. It's not within me to do it. And no matter how much therapy or drugs or whatever, it's never going to happen. And that's just something I have to accept. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't crash into you. That realization doesn't crash into you with any less force, right? It's just when it hits, you have to reevaluate, right? And it's definitely one of those things that could derail somebody. It's not going to derail me. And I'm not going to go into why I don't care about health. I'm not going to go into all of that because it gets really depressing, and there's no real reason to go into that. But needless to say, the motivations for why I started where I'm at now have absolutely nothing to do with health. Have to do with lifestyle comfortability, being able to buy clothes mainline style, not having to deal with some of the more uncomfortable aspects of being a big person. So, as the realizations started to hit, particularly the body image realization, I started to realize that I have done irreparable damage to my body. There's no way for my body to recover from the massive amount of weight that I've put on over the last 13 years. At least not completely. There'll always be some excess skin or some scarring or something there. And it goes to the point to say that a lot of people have this idea in their head that if they had some sort of magical time machine or something, they could go back and instruct their younger self to not do something, that somehow that would fix a problem. But I'm here to tell you that I don't believe that anymore. And here's why. There's just some advice that cannot be heeded or followed by your younger self or younger people or anyone who hasn't been in your situation already. And the reason for that is because some advice can only be heeded or taken and internalized when there's emotional context to it. So if you haven't lived through that pain or that particular issue, then the advice you're getting doesn't hit home, right? There's no way to take the advice that you're getting in the form of verbal communication and tie it to an emotional context that allows you to internalize it. So, I mean, I could get in a time machine and I could go back to 20-year-old me and say, hey, bro, this is you at 37, man. And it's not going to matter. I could tell me, don't let this happen. Don't let this happen to you. This is how it happened to me. I can explain it. It wouldn't matter because 20-year-old me doesn't have the emotional context to understand the pain and what has happened over the last 13, it would be 17 years at that point. But, he can't do it. He can't marry that verbal advice with emotional context to internalize it. Instead, 20-year-old me or 23-year-old me would look at 37-year-old me and just write it off, right? By saying, that version of me did something wrong, and there's no way that I would make that same mistake. And the mistake would play out all over again. Because there's just some advice that cannot be heeded without the emotional context, and that's just the way it is. There's no other way around it. Yeah. Anyway, guys, the video got long, and I had to cut it up a little bit. I had to edit it, so I hope that you watched it. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it wasn't as much comedy and levity as some of my other videos, but I hope it was still entertaining and kind of pulled you guys in, because this process is interesting to me, and the realizations that come are real, man. They hit hard. They hit hard, man, and I hope it was enjoyable. Anyway, leave me some comments, man. Like and subscribe. Let me know how things are going, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.